Fred, um, I'm gonna get straight into it. Often when I talk about race, I'll talk with someone and they often say to kind of like to settle and ease the discussion through, they say we're all one race, we all should just get along. And the thing is, since race is such a hot topic in America, it gets money, gets people killed, gets people famous, and gets people infamous. People don't really know if you're not of African descent. People aren't really too focused on Mother Africa, okay, and the origin of humanity. And the best way I can explain this is how all people are connected is this. In science today, as far as canines and dogs are concerned, it's known that all the species of the world of dogs can be traced back to three female wolves from a long, long time ago. And through the bloodline of these three wolves, basically every single dog species has come through this bloodline. In reference to humans, every single bloodline that has ever existed, that ever will exist from the future on, has come through the bloodline of African and Aboriginal people. The black people of ancient times who died off and evolved or changed into new races because in nature three things happen to an organism. They either morph into something else, they genetically absorbed out and phased out, or they evolve or adapt to a climate. In this case, from ancient times, there were dozens of people who looked like myself, a lot of physical on the continent of Africa and all around the world, that there were dark black people with nappy woolly hair and dark skin of all different shades that on the surface you don't know what they are and what they look like. But their genetics, everything, one of them's different. So through the bloodline, if you look all around the world, even in up to the 1500s, European explorers were finding people in places that you didn't even think black folks even existed. They found them in Southeast Asia. They found them in ancient Japan. They found them simply dippily. I'll get to that. They found them in ancient Japan. They found, they were finding pictures of dark people, all these black folks, everywhere that they went outside Africa. You found them some places up in Europe somewhere, like in like the Mediterranean. Finding Aboriginal type people. If you look at Australia, they have black people there too. Basically, the black people of ancient times, who you think died out and morphed and evolved, they never all of them died out. They just basically either live amongst mainland people, or they live like in the hills somewhere. Like, for example, the original physical characteristics of ancient Filipino people, because they had so many different groups of people who went in and race mixed with them or changed, they changed the appearance of the population. But the original phenotype of people, if you talk to Filipinos, if they're willing to admit that, is they were short, woolly hair, and dark. If you go look at old pictures of Native Americans in Central and South America, before they started mixing with the Spanish and Portuguese, a lot of them were dark and brown and sometimes very chocolate colored. The same with some of these island people, like Tongan, Samoan, Hawaiian, people from Saipan. If you look at them, before they started mixing with Europeans and Asians, a lot of them had nappy hair. And African blood did not create all these dark melanated features. It was the sun. Damn. So basically what I'm saying is, it wasn't black people that created other black people. It was the sun and the environment that gave us our features. And then through our bloodline, we produced a lot of other different phenotypical traits that everyone has today. That's why scientists, every time they try to look and trace the lineage of all the races of people, it stems back to African people, because we are kind of like the wolves. And then every other race after that is pretty much like the kind of like crossbred with each other and made all these babies. To be quite simple. because if you ask around, like people look in Southeast Asia, India, and other places, the ancient black people that gave them their language and civilization, who came out of Africa and settled in, they're still alive today. They're still in sight, but they live in like closed off areas somewhere. But that's the best way that I can explain it.